Hello friends, place 1 pound or 450 grams of ground beef into a large bowl. Now crack in 2 eggs. Add 1 teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of oregano, 1 teaspoon of dried garlic, 1 teaspoon of mustard, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, and 2 ounces or 60 grams of breadcrumbs. Mix everything thoroughly until the mixture becomes smooth and even. Friends, it's wonderful to know where you're watching from. Share your city and country, and US friends, tell me your state as well. Now, grate 1 onion. As the onion releases that soft, familiar scent, it instantly reminds me of childhood kitchens where onions were the base of every warm meal. Add the grated onion to the bowl. Finally, chop a bunch of fresh parsley. Parsley brings not only color, but a burst of freshness. My grandmother used to say it awakens any dish. Add it to the beef. Mix everything well again. I always slow down at this step. It's something almost meditative in it. Pour a little olive oil into a frying pan. Feel free to ask any questions about the recipe in the comments, and I'll get back to you as soon as I see them. Then add a small piece of butter and let it melt gently into the oil. This mix of flavors, butter and olive oil, always feels like the kind of start that promises something delicious. Finally, chop 1 red bell pepper. As you chop, enjoy the bright, cheerful color. Red peppers are full of vitamin C and always bring a little sunshine to a dish. If you found this video helpful, please consider liking it. It's a simple way to show your support. Add the pepper to the pan and sauté for 2 to 3 minutes over medium heat. Next, grate 1 carrot. The soft sound of the grater, the bright orange shavings. It's such a comforting step. Carrots add gentle sweetness and are full of beta-carotene, which our parents always said is good for your eyes. Add the carrot to the pan with the peppers and fry for 2 to 3 minutes, stirring gently. Friends, for more content like this, make sure to subscribe and enable notifications so you don't miss any new recipes. Slice 1 red onion. Take your time with this step. Red onions aren't just for color. As you slice them, you'll notice that gentle, slightly sweet aroma rising from the cutting board. Red onions are full of natural antioxidants, and my mother always said they keep you strong through the colder seasons. Their sweetness becomes deeper and warmer the longer they cook, adding a soft, comforting base to the dish. add them to the pan and fry for another 2 to 3 minutes. Now add all these warm, fragrant vegetables to the bowl with the ground beef. Mix until the filling becomes smooth and even. It should feel soft, colorful, and full of life. Place 2 eggs into a small ladle or saucepan. Pour in enough water to cover them. Cover with a lid and cook until done. Next, sprinkle some flour onto a sheet of baking paper. Place a layer of yeast puff pastry on top. Roll out the dough with a rolling pin until it becomes wide and thin. Rolling dough like this always brings back memories of holidays, when the kitchen smelled like pastries and the whole family gathered around waiting for the first warm batch. Now, pour a little olive oil into a frying pan. Melt a small piece of butter in the pan. Grate 2 cloves of garlic. As you grate them, that warm, familiar aroma immediately fills the air. The kind that always makes people peek into the kitchen to ask what's cooking. Add it to the pan and let it warm just enough to awaken its fragrance. Then pour this garlic-infused butter over the rolled-out dough and spread it evenly with a brush. Spread the meat mixture over the dough in a thin, even layer. Take your time here. Smoothing it out gently with a spatula or your hands always feels a bit like working on a warm, familiar craft. As the mixture spreads, you'll see the colors blend together, just like those homemade pies our families used to prepare on slow weekend evenings. Now check the eggs. If they're fully cooked, take them off the heat. Grate them while they're still slightly warm. That gentle warmth always reminds me of simple breakfast from childhood. Transfer the grated eggs into a bowl. Grate 4 ounces or 120 grams of cheddar cheese. As the cheese curls fall, the smell alone feels like a small promise of comfort. Add it to the eggs. Then add half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of black pepper, and 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise. Mix everything together until the filling turns smooth and creamy. This part always feels a bit meditative, watching everything blend into one cozy mixture. Spread this filling evenly over the ground beef layer. Roll the dough into a log shape. Take your time. Rolling dough always brings back memories of watching older relatives work patiently at the counter. Make small incisions on top, just like in the video. Break 1 egg into a bowl. Add 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of sugar. Beat everything with a fork until it becomes glossy. Brush this egg mixture over the dough. This little step gives the roll that golden, shiny crust we all love. Preheat the oven to 360 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius. Bake the roll for 35 minutes. Now, in a small bowl, mix 1 tablespoon of mayonnaise. Grate 2 cloves of garlic, freshly grated garlic releases, that warm, bold aroma that always makes a sauce come alive. Add them to the bowl. Then add 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Grate 1 pickle. That crunch and tang always remind me of the sauces our mothers made to brighten a dish. Add it in as well. Now add 1 teaspoon of mustard, half a teaspoon of black pepper, and half a teaspoon of oregano. Stir until everything blends into a smooth, vibrant sauce. Take the roll out of the oven. Slice it into even portions. The sound of the crispy crust giving way is always so satisfying. Arrange the slices on a plate. Add the prepared sauce on the side. And that's it, a golden, flaky pastry roll filled with savory ground beef, soft eggs, and melted cheddar cheese. The buttery, garlicky crust pairs beautifully with the rich, comforting filling. The tangy sauce adds the perfect finishing touch. I hope this recipe brings the same warmth, joy, and cozy deliciousness to your home as it always brings to mine. Thank you for cooking with me today, but that's not all. I have a second, equally delicious recipe for you. In a large bowl, add 2½ cups or 315 grams of all-purpose flour. Then sprinkle in ½ teaspoon of salt. Give everything a light whisk. Such a simple motion, yet it sets the foundation for your dough. Then whisk in 1 tablespoon of sugar. My mother always said that whisking flour felt like waking it up before the real work begins. Now, spoon the flour mixture into a food processor. Take 2 sticks or 225 grams of cold unsalted butter. Cut them into small cubes. Cold butter is the soul of a truly great crust. It creates those delicate, flaky layers that make each bite melt in your mouth. Butter also brings fat-soluble vitamins, like A and E, something my mother would always mention while baking, insisting, "A little butter makes everything brighter." Add the butter to the flour and pulse a few times. just until the pieces resemble small peas. Those tiny chilled bits of butter will steam as they bake, forming light, crisp pockets in the dough. Be careful not to overmix. Those little butter specks are your key to the perfect texture. Next, slowly add 7 tablespoons of ice-cold water, 1 spoonful at a time, pulsing gently after each addition. The icy water keeps the butter firm, ensuring every tiny piece stays intact and ready to create those irresistible, flaky layers. Stop mixing the moment the dough begins to gather. Turn the dough out onto your counter and gently press it together with your hands. If it feels slightly dry, add 1 teaspoon of cold water at a time until the dough just comes together. Remember, we're not kneading it. We're simply guiding it, encouraging it to hold its shape while keeping the butter pieces cold and intact. Divide the dough into 2 equal portions. Shape each one into a smooth, round disc. Wrap them snugly in plastic wrap, pressing lightly to flatten them before chilling. Place the dough discs in the refrigerator for at least an hour. Place the whole chicken into a roasting dish, breast side up. Carefully lift the skin near the breast, just enough to slip your fingers underneath without tearing it. I always remember how carefully my mother did this, every movement full of quiet care. Slide 2 pieces of butter or 30 grams each under the skin. As it melts during roasting, it bathes the meat in moisture and rich flavor, keeping every bite tender and succulent. Take 1 lemon and slice it in half. Tuck 1/2 inside the cavity of the chicken. Add a whole and peeled head of garlic. Finish with 2 sprigs of rosemary, whose warm, woodsy aroma feels like pure comfort, the kind you can smell even before the oven door fully opens. Now, in a small bowl, combine 4 tablespoons of mayonnaise. It may sound a bit unconventional, but it works magic, giving the chicken an irresistibly crisp golden skin. Add 2 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, and 1 teaspoon of paprika. Grate 3 cloves of garlic using a mini grater. This releases all their fragrant oils, letting the garlic melt seamlessly into the mixture instead of sitting in chunks. Finally, add 2 tablespoons of lemon juice and stir until smooth. Using a brush, generously coat the entire chicken with the mixture, the top, the sides, even underneath. It always brings back the image of my grandmother working with quiet patience, her steady strokes turning a simple step into something almost comforting. In a large frying pan, melt quarter stick or 30 grams of butter over medium heat. The moment it hits the hot pan and begins to sizzle, it's like the first note of a melody. You know something wonderful is about to unfold. Finely chop 1 large onion. Onions are the quiet backbone of so many dishes. Sharp when raw, but once they soften, they transform into a gentle sweetness that feels warm and familiar. They're also rich in antioxidants and support heart health, a humble ingredient with remarkable benefits. Add them to the butter and sauté for 2 to 3 minutes, just until your kitchen fills with that warm, inviting aroma everyone loves. Next, finely dice 2 carrots. Their bright orange color instantly brightens the pan, almost like carrying a little piece of childhood warmth into the kitchen. Carrots offer more than gentle sweetness. They're rich in beta-carotene, which supports healthy vision and a strong immune system. Add them to the onions and sauté for about 5 to 7 minutes, stirring softly so everything cooks evenly and becomes tender. Now, chop 7 ounces or 210 grams of mushrooms. They work wonders in any dish, absorbing butter and seasonings effortlessly, then turning deeply savory as they cook. Mushrooms are also rich in B vitamins and antioxidants, giving both flavor and nourishment. Add them to the pan and enjoy that gentle sizzle. As they release their juices, the scent may bring back memories of calm, unhurried weekends. when a comforting meal slowly bubbled away on the stove. Grate 3 cloves of garlic using a mini grater. Aside from its bold flavor, garlic is known for supporting the immune system, a tiny ingredient with big benefits. Add it to the pan and let it gently heat through. Let everything cook together for another 5 minutes, giving it an occasional stir so the flavors can meld perfectly. Now sprinkle in 6 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. This is the step that will transform the mixture into a smooth, luxurious filling. Give it a brisk stir so the flour lightly coats every vegetable. Let it cook for about 2 minutes, just enough to soften that raw edge. Gradually pour in 2 cups or 450 milliliters of chicken broth. Gently stream in half of cups or 350 milliliters of heavy cream. The cream turns the sauce plush and full-bodied, the kind of texture that wraps itself around every ingredient with comforting softness. Season with 2 teaspoons of salt and 1 teaspoon of black pepper. Stir well. Lower the heat and let the filling simmer gently, creamy and fragrant, while your golden chicken finishes roasting in the oven. When your chicken is ready, take it out of the oven and let it rest for about 10 minutes. Move the chicken onto a cutting board. Take out the lemon, garlic, and rosemary from the cavity. They've infused the meat with all their goodness and earned their rest. Gently pull the chicken into small, manageable pieces. There's something soothing about this moment, the gentle warmth of the meat, the faint crackle of the crisp skin under your fingers. You should end up with about 2 cups or 300 grams of shredded chicken. Add the meat right into the pan with the creamy vegetable sauce. Then pour in 1 cup of frozen peas. Give everything a good stir so the ingredients come together beautifully. Finely chop a bunch of fresh parsley. It brings a bright, leafy freshness, almost like a breath of garden air that lightens the richness of the sauce. Add it to the pan. Sprinkle in 1 tablespoon of sesame seeds. They lend a soft, nutty note that makes each bite feel just a little more special. Give everything a good stir and let it simmer gently for another 2 to 3 minutes. Then switch off the heat. Take the pie dough from the fridge and let it rest on the counter for about 10 minutes. Lightly sprinkle some flour over your work surface. Roll the first dough disc into a smooth, even circle, working from the center toward the edges. Keep your touch light. A gentle hand helps maintain those delicate, flaky layers. Carefully lift the dough and ease it into your pie dish. Now, spoon in the filling. Take your time spreading it so the tender chicken, creamy sauce, and colorful vegetables sit evenly. It already looks like a promise of something delicious. I always pause a moment here. It's the instant when the dish truly comes alive. Lightly flour your work surface again and roll out the second disc of dough. Every time I do this, I'm reminded of how my grandmother moved, unhurried, confident, as though the dough always obeyed her hands. Gently lift the rolled dough and settle it over the top of the pie, tucking the edges underneath so they meet and closing them with a soft pinch. That little seal is what keeps all the warmth and flavor tucked safely inside. Cut a few small slits on top to let the steam escape as it bakes. Crack one egg into a small bowl. Whisk it well. Brush the egg wash across the top of the crust. This is what gives it that beautiful golden shine. Sprinkle just a touch of salt and pepper, and scatter a few extra sesame seeds. Place the pie in a preheated oven at 360 degrees Fahrenheit, or 180 degrees Celsius, and bake for about 35 minutes. Remove the pie from the oven and let it rest for a few minutes, then take a sharp knife and make the first gentle cut. You'll hear the soft crackle of the crust, that crisp golden sound that tells you everything baked just right. As the steam rises, the filling shows itself, smooth and creamy, with a tender chicken and colorful vegetables nestled inside. It looks like comfort, smells like home, and tastes like pure warmth in every bite. I hope it brings the same sense of joy and coziness to your table as it always has to mine. Thank you for cooking with me today. Until next time, happy cooking!